Hello, my name is Kate Wendelboe and I'm the Head of Strategy at BT Security. I'm really sorry I can't join you live today, but hopefully this little video gives you a bit of food for thought. I'm going to give you a bit of a background, a bit of an overview of my background, talk to you about what my team does, talk to you about the skills that I need to do my job well, and a few things that I'm really glad that I did while I was at university. So let me share my slides. So here we go, a little bit about me to start with. So I have quite an international background. I was born in Hong Kong, lived there till I was 13 and then went and finished school in the States, where my family lived in Washington, DC. I then went to university at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, where my family is originally from. And as part of my degree, I did a master's degree in French. I worked as a matron in a Swiss boarding school, hence the Swiss flag there. I then worked in Paris and then have been working in London for the past 12 years or so. I'm a big believer in ongoing education. So as I mentioned, I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Edinburgh. After a few years of work experience, I then went on and did an MBA at the University of Cambridge at their Judge Business School, where I specialised in arts, culture, arts and media management. Straight after my undergraduate degree at the University of Edinburgh, I was working in marketing for Reuters, which I'll talk about in a second, and did a diploma in the Chartered Institute of Marketing. And since in the sort of the general management and the strategy part of my career, following my MBA, I've become really interested in coaching teams, and I'm an accredited coach with the International Coaching Federation. So, huge believer in education and keeping learning. I've had a really varied career. I started my career with some work experience at the Hong Kong Trade Development Council and the Institut La Gruyère, which is where I was a matron and perfected my Swiss French accent. I then went on straight after university to work for Thomson Reuters in New York and then London. I went over to New York as part of what was called the Mountbatten Internship Program, which helps students from early graduates from the UK go and study and work in the States. And my role there was in marketing, and I had a year in New York and then a couple of years in the team in London. And Reuters allowed me to then transfer over. I shifted from marketing and joined the journalism side of the business and was part of the news desk of one of their multimedia news products called Reuters Insider. So I was on the news desk, I was a features journalist and a commodities and energies journalist towards the end. I then went, because it was really the strategy and the product management side of things, as well as the leadership elements that really interested me. So I went on and did my MBA, had some great work experience during my MBA with companies like advertising agency and branding agency Interbrand, and startups such as care.com, where I did some consulting. And then I joined BT about 8 years ago. And within BT, I've had a wide range of roles, including business improvement, propositions development, general management, where I've been running businesses of up to about 40 people, and strategy for all sorts of different businesses, including the likes of payphones, the phone book, which does still exist, and most recently BT Security, which is a brilliant part of the business to be in, and a wonderful area in which to work in strategy. Fast moving, lots of problems to be solved, and of course, so important. So a bit about my role and what my team does. It's really broken into 3 pillars: the external perspective, strategic planning, strategic interventions, and I'll just talk them through quickly one by one. So I have a team of about 5 people. When it comes to that first pillar, we work with analysts to help them understand what we're doing in the market, to get their views on what's happening in the wider market trends. and we make sure that all the rest of the other parts of the business that we work with get that insight. We also evaluate, quantify, and prioritize market opportunities, figure out where we should be spending money, where the opportunities are, where our customers really need help, and sell security story both externally and internally. We make sure that our salespeople have great case studies and references, so that our customers get other customers' views of how we can help them. And internally, BT is a huge company, and BT Security, although huge in its own right, is a small fish in a very big pond. So it's important to let the rest of BT know what we're up to. In terms of strategic planning, we contribute to the assumptions driving our financial plans. We developed some targeted go-to-market strategies, working very closely with our sales teams. What regions should they be selling in terms of different verticals, different industries that we're supporting? What are the particular things, what are the particular elements that those industries need support with? And aligning our strategy with the strategies of other parts of BT. When it comes to strategic interventions, it's tracking financial performance, providing recommendations, it's answering long-term strategic questions that other parts of the business are wondering about. Where should we sell? What should we sell? How should we be organised to be most effective? And identifying areas of opportunity and improvement. Where we're falling short of the numbers, where we're not having the results we're expecting. Why is that? What can we do to be better and to better support our customers? In terms of the key skills that I need to do my job, it's really a combination of things that I've picked up throughout my career. It's big picture thinking. I was thinking about calling this strategic thinking, but it's very much that ability to see the big picture, and to know exactly what problem you're solving, but how to put that in perspective for the rest of the business, for our customers. And then very much linked to that, it's storytelling. What is the story we need to be telling our customers? What is the story we need to be telling internally to get the investment that we need in our portfolio? And stakeholder management, it's working with people throughout the organization, within BT Security itself. It's figuring out what different people need from me and my team. Figure out how best to support them, how best to get them the information they need, and understanding the dynamics of the business and how to really position my team most effectively within those dynamics. And coaching, as I mentioned, this is really one of my passions. Coaching is all about asking the right questions to help other people get to the answer. It's not handing them the answer on a plate, and it's asking powerful questions. And again, this is linked to security industry knowledge. I've been working in security now for maybe 6 months. So I'm relatively new to the industry, but I'm surrounded by true experts. So it's getting to understand enough to really ask them the right questions to know what problems we're solving. And things I'm glad I did at university. One of the questions as I was pulling together this presentation was, what do I regret? But really what came out to me as I thought of my time at university was really things I'm glad I did. And this is above and beyond my degree. I'm very glad I did a degree that was so multidisciplinary. Studying French allowed me to do politics, to do language, to become fluent in another language. So there was all sorts of aspects to learning French itself. But the things that I'm glad that I did in an extracurricular perspective were sports. And this really applies to any kind of extracurricular activity in terms of what I got out of it. And yes, I played water polo both at Edinburgh and Cambridge, and that I think is me in goal there. And I got some key things from playing in a team at a very competitive level that have served me well throughout my career. First is being part of a team, knowing how to be a team player, knowing where you need to be, both in the pool when it comes to water polo, but also for your teammates. It was useful when it comes to resilience, when you're playing sports, when you're competing, doesn't necessarily have to be in sports, but like you're doing at the moment, when you're competing at anything, it's having that resilience to know what it is you need to do to be your best, both individually and your team, and take setbacks and come back from them. And it's also about multitasking. It's juggling whatever other deadlines you have on the academic side of your life with the deadlines you have around competitions, around being a good teammate. So sports were hugely important, but again, as I say, that's any extracurricular activity. Work experience and travel, I was lucky enough to be able to combine these two with a couple of bits of the work experience that I talked about on my first slide. Working as a matron in a Swiss boarding school, and actually my very first internship, which was with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, that building in the front of the photo, and both hugely useful. I'll talk about travel first. Great to learn about different cultures. That experience is serving me hugely well as I work for a global organization. BT Security is truly global. We've got 16 security operations centers around the world. I've got colleagues in all time zones. So really having had that those different cultural experiences gives me common ground with many of the people that I talk to and I work with. And work experience, having had those different pieces of very different work experience really helped me think through what I wanted to do next. You may be very relieved to hear that I didn't have a clear view of what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I was at university. And have been very lucky in my career to try out lots of different things. But in that early work experience, I learnt when I was working in Hong Kong that I loved events. I was working with an organisation that organised big trade shows, so loved events, loved the organisational side of events, which was the core of my early work at Reuters, and on the flip side, working at a school, I loved my year there, but I learnt quite quickly that I have huge respect for teachers, but I myself didn't want to be a teacher. Whereas going into that year, that's one of the career tracks that I had been pursuing. So useful when it comes to work experience to start getting that feel for what it is you love and what it is that is interesting but isn't your passion. So 3 things I'm really glad I did at university. Bit of a flavour for the skills I need to do my job, what a strategy team does, and my very varied background. So again, I'm really sorry I can't be there to take questions live, but please do, if you do have any questions, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Or drop me an email, kate.wendelboe@bt.com. It's right there, and I would be very happy to hear from any of you, and I hope you are having a great time.